Welcome to Education Online program. I'm teacher Regina, teaching you biology. The topic is level of biodiversity. Level of biodiversity. In our previous lesson, we defined biodiversity, and even we look at the importance of biodiversity. So if we are dealing with biodiversity, or if we are talking about biodiversity, that we should put in a consideration there are 3 levels of biodiversity. That's why the biological diversity is basically divided into 3 categories. Biological diversity is mainly or basically divided into 3 categories. One is genetic diversity. Number 2 is species diversity. Number 3 is ecosystem diversity. So these are the 3 levels of biodiversity. Then let us discuss the level of biodiversity one by one. When we talk about genetic diversity, this one is referred to the variation of genes within a single species. Genetic diversity refers to the variation of genes within a single species. Variation, that means differences. Differences of genes within a single species. So this variation of genes is the one establishes variety within a species, or variation of genetic within a population. So we said the variation or differences of the genes within a single species is the one establishing variety within a species, or variation of genetics or genetic variation within population. We learn about population. Population is a group of individuals of the same species and living in the same area. So this means because of the differences in genes, you'll find that individuals of the same species having some differences or having some different characteristics. Although individuals of the same species, they are sharing the same characteristics, but there are some particular characteristics you'll find them vary from an individual to an individual. So individuals of the same species, if they have some differences, that means it shows that there's genetic variation within the population. For example, when we take the species Homo sapiens, this is the human being. All over the world, people are under this species, Homo sapiens, all over the world. That means they are of the same species, sapiens. But still you find some different characters among the individuals of this species. Like you'll find some people with different skin color. Some of the skins are black. Some of them are brown or white. The same individual within the same species, you'll find some of them, they are tall, some are short. Or you'll find some of them big in size. You'll find tall versus short, big in size or fat, and some are small in size or thin. With long hair, some are with short hair, black hairs, some are with brown hair. But they are all human beings under a species called sapiens. But you can see these differences. So this difference is a result of genetic variation under level known as genetic diversity. So that means genetic materials, are the one determine whether individual animal or plant can survive in a particular habitat or under particular environmental condition. Therefore, we do conclude it like this. Genetic materials are the one determine whether individual animal or individual plant has ability or can survive in a particular habitat or under particular environmental conditions. Because when we talk about the habitat, we said this is the place where you'll find the the organism live, where the organism eat, where the organism even can reproduce or interbreed. And these all activities are done in habitat. So that means habitat is the one providing or meeting the needs of the living organism. Therefore, you'll find the organism is adapted, or the organism adjusted itself to this habitat, because the environmental condition in that place is favoring the organism, and the type of food or nutrient there favors the same organism, and even the place is suitable for breeding or for reproduction. That's why genetic variations are very important, because through this genetic variation, the species can be prevented from diseases, prevented from different diseases, and even the genetic variations is enable the organism to adjust themselves to their environment. So this is the importance of genetic diversity, that is establishes variety within the same species, or establishes genetic variation within a population. That's why you'll find it enables the living organism to adjust or to adopt itself in its environment, and at the same time is the one preventing the animal from disease, because it is the one determines whether that animal or plant can live in that place. That's why you'll find sometimes different species of plant growing in an environment or under climate which is not its, but that means the adaptation has taken place through the genetic variation. That's why it is able to grow in that environment. So we are done with one level of biodiversity, which genetic diversity. Now coming to second level of biodiversity, which is species diversity. When we talk about species diversity, we are referring to the varieties of species within an area. Refer to the varieties of species within an area. Within an area. So species diversity could be measured on the basis of number of the species. If you want to measure the varieties of species, that can be measured by the number of species in the area. So if there are different number of species, that shows the place is characterized by species diversity. That means there are many different species of living organisms. Or we can measure it by the range of different type of species in an area. Range of different types of species. Range of different type of species. In the area. So this is how we can measure species diversity, means variety of species within an area, either by assessing or counting the number of the species, that means the number of individuals within the same species, or we count the different type of species in that area to give us a picture of the species diversity in that particular area. The third level of biodiversity is ecosystem diversity. Ecosystem diversity. An ecosystem was defined. When we talk about ecosystem, that means we combine biotic factors with abiotic factors. That means living organisms with non-living organisms to give us ecosystem. So ecosystem diversity, that means varieties of ecosystem. So an ecosystem consists of organisms from many different species living together in a region that are connected by the flow of energy, nutrient, as the organism of different species interact with one another. So ecosystem consists of different types from many different species. It consists of different organisms, consists of different organisms of different species. But these different species, they interacting with each other. They interact with each other. Interactions, that means they have this ecological relationship. You'll find among them some are parasites. That means we live in one of the organisms which is known as host to get its nutrient. And some of them, you'll find them benefiting from each other. Different species, two different species, but they're benefiting from each other. That means they're serving themselves. The other one getting benefit from the other, and also the other one getting benefits from the other. You'll find some of them, they act as predators. Predators. That means they are the one who are hunting the prey. So this is the source of food. That's why here it says it is consists of organisms from many different species living together in a region that are connected by the flow of energy and nutrients. So these different species, we say they are interacting because they are interconnected. They are interconnected by the flow of energy. These different species, whether it is a predator, whether it is a prey, whether it is a parasite, or the host. So all of them, they are interconnected by energy flow. Energy flow and nutrient. Let me explain this energy flow a bit. How are they connected by energy flow? In ecosystem, we find different species of living organisms. That means different species of plant, different species of animal, even the decomposers, the bacteria and fungi are there, plus the sunshine, air, temperature. These are the components of ecosystem. Because we talk about the component of ecosystem, you find in the ecosystem there are abiotic factors. That means the gases or the air, water, sunshine, sunlight, and many others. Then we have consumer, not consumer, let me start with producer. Then coming to consumer. Lastly, the decomposer. There's the bacteria, algae, all this. Since ecosystem is made up of all these, that's made us to say that the different species that are interacting together or that interconnected through or by the energy flow and nutrient. Since we have the producer is there, which is the plant. This is the plant. This is the producer, because it is able to make its own food. And all the living organism depends on the consumer, the plants. This plant, for it to make its food, it needs what? Water from the ground here, plus mineral salts from the ground, then the sunshine from the atmosphere, which is the light. Atmosphere. Here, what is coming from here? You find the sunlight and even carbon dioxide, nitrogen. Then coming here to carry photosynthesis. So this plant contain carbohydrates, contain proteins, contain lipids. That means oil and starch. All are there. Then this animal here, or this human being here, feeding on this. This is the energy flow. Because this animal or this human being getting its food from here. That is the energy. So the energy flow from the plant to the animal. And this animal here, the animal is breathing. That means taking carbon dioxide, taking oxygen from the atmosphere and sending back the carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. The same plant here, taking carbon dioxide and sending carbon dioxide also during night time to the atmosphere. So we'll find what the decomposers here. The decomposers, this one, the two, when they die, is the one making what? Decompose. There. So the energy coming from here. When they are decomposed, will give us what? Fossil fuel. Fossil fuel. This fossil fuel, if they are extracted and they are used, that means that when the fuel is burned, will give us carbon dioxide going up. Then the carbon dioxide will be hunted by the plant to make the food. Then the animal comes and eat the food. Both animal and plant, they die, they decompose, changing into fossil. This fossil is used. Burning of the fossil give us carbon dioxide. At the same time, these animals breathing, sending out the carbon dioxide. So this is the meaning of they are interconnected by energy and nutrient. The nutrient from the atmosphere is hunted by the plant to be processed and taken by the plant. At the same time, the plant just so this is the cycle. It makes cycle. So lastly, we want to talk about the biodiversity hot spot. Biodiversity hot spot. Biodiversity hot spot. What do we mean by biodiversity hot spot? These are the geographical region. This is a geographical region which is biologically diverse, and yet it is under threat, of habitat loss species. So biodiversity hotspot, these are the areas you'll find they are biological diverse. That means having many different species of living organisms, whether plants, animals, insects, and microorganisms. But yet they are under threat. That means anytime they can lose some habitats. Anytime they can lose some species. And these are all happen due to the man activities. Some man activity plus natural disasters can lead to habitat loss and species loss. But the most dangerous is the man activities. So next time we shall come and talk about these threats of biodiversity. What are they and how do they happen and what are the consequences of these threats? Up to here we are done with our topic of today, level of biodiversity. We meet next time in the next